Hey guys, what is up? Stefan here. I'm finally, or unfortunately, back from my holiday and got some time on my hand to create some new tutorials. And this time I want to give you a tutorial on how to install Fock server on Ubuntu server 16.04 LTS on a virtual machine in VirtualBox. Sounds a little bit complicated, but it's really easy if you follow through each step that I will show you now. This tutorial will be split into two parts. The first part will include installing Ubuntu server 16.04 on VirtualBox as a virtual machine and install Fock server on the same server. So you will get everything until the point where you can capture your first image. The second part of the video will be how to create a generalized Windows 10 image that you can personalize, you can modify it as you want to, you can install software, and then I will show you how to capture your first host in Fock and how to implement this generalized Windows 10 image to Fock server for employment on your clients. The advantage of that is that with the generalized image you are able to deploy this Windows 10 image even on computers that have Windows key branded into the BIOS, so it's perfectly for use with OEM machines, and I'm personally running it for quite a while now and it's working really well. So enough about the talk, let's get started with the tutorial. Things you need for this tutorial are Ubuntu server 16.04 LTS 64-bit version, which I will provide you the link to in the description. You will need the newest version of VMware VirtualBox, and that's really it. Fock server we will download later on our Ubuntu server. Right, start up VirtualBox. I have the newest version as of beginning of September in 2017. Click on new and give your new virtual machine a name. I'll call it Fock minus host, because we want to later call our Fock server actually Fock server. So the Fock server runs on the Fock host, which is kind of an inception kind of thing, so you want to be able to hold them apart. Then you select the type, which is of course Linux, and it's Ubuntu 64-bit. Click on next. Choose how much RAM you want to allocate to the machine. I think like 1 GB will be enough, but I'll opt for 2 because I have enough memory in my computer. We want to create a virtual hard disk now. We choose VDI, and I also go for dynamically allocated, which means it's actually just going to subtract the hard disk space from your physical hard drive that is actually used by the virtual machine. So it grows according to the amount of data you put on your virtual machine, and not just reserve the whole thing on your physical hard drive, so you have a little bit more room. You can give it a name. Again, I'll just leave it as Fock host. Select a size. So this really depends on you, because I will just work with one single image, but you might use different images of different OSs or different patch levels, whatever, so adjust it accordingly. I'll go for around 80 gigs. That's plenty for me. Then I choose a location where to save it. Just dump it on my 2 TB drive, save it, and click on create. So the next thing I usually do is I change the network from NAT to bridged adapter, which means it's basically bridging the virtual machine right into my normal network pool, so it's not giving it a NAT IP address, but it resides in the same IP address range like all my other devices. You can just start up the machine and it will ask you to insert the location for the image of Ubuntu server. I will just go to storage, click on this CD drive and open it that way. So I go to my downloads folder and select the Ubuntu 16.04-3 64-bit ISO file, click on OK, and I click on start. Alright, and we are already inside of the Ubuntu installation routine. Just keep in mind that if your mouse is captured inside of this window, you just hit your right control key to release it again. Don't want to see that message again. You select the language and then you select to install Ubuntu server. I will run you through to each step so you can just stay with me and follow along. It's really easy and quick. I select English for a language 2. My location is in Europe, Germany. I keep the locale always on United States. I don't want to detect a keyboard layout, but I want to select it manually because I'm always using the German keyboard layout, of course. Classical one. Then it detects the hardware. Alright, then you can give it a host name. We already said we're going to call it fock-host. We stick with that, click on continue. Full name for the new user, you can enter your name and then a name for the user account that will be used instead of the root account, which gives it another layer of security. Let's see you admin. And give it a safe password, safer than 4 digits in this case, but it's just for demonstration purposes. It even gives you a warning that's a weak password and you should not use it. I'll use it. I don't want to encrypt my home directory. The time zone Europe Berlin is correct. Now it's continuing to detect other hardware. For partitioning we want to use guided use entire disk. Select the disk, the virtual hard disk that we created, and we agree that everything on this hard disk will be deleted. Now we let the installation run through and we are almost on the end. Now you can enter your proxy server if you use one, if not just leave it empty and hit continue. Then that's really up to you, but I always choose no automatic updates because I want to have control over my updates. Then you can select packages that should be pre-installed. We are going to choose the standard system utilities and also the OpenSSH server, so we can later access our server via SSH. That should have been the last step, I think. So now it's installing everything what we selected, and then it should give it a quick reboot and we should already be able to log into our system. Not all there yet, the good old group bootloader, and yes, we want to install group on the master boot record. But that should be it now. Finishing installation sounds pretty promising. So the reboot should just come after that. Almost. Yeah, right. You should just remove the CD from your CD drive and hit continue after that. Now we are going to reboot the machine and it automatically boots up our new system. Alright, there we go. Now we can log in with the credentials we chose earlier. So CU admin for me and my high security password. And we are in. The first thing I do is type sudo -i, type your password, and we are logged in with the root account because we need to do many settings, so I don't always want to type sudo and type the command and type my password again. You know how it is. Clear up the screen. The first thing we want to do is apt-get update to update our sources. And then we also want to run apt-get dist-upgrade to upgrade our OS. Tells you that it will download 307 megabytes. We agree with yes, and we'll be back soon as it's finished. Alright, that's done. So we want to shut down the machine now by typing shutdown now. And the reason for that is that we now have everything set up to the point where we can, or almost set up to the point where we can install our fock server. So what we want to do now is to take a snapshot of the machine. In case you fuck something up, you have to start all over again and install your whole server from the beginning. To avoid that, we take a snapshot in the state at what we have at the moment, which is pre-installing fock server, just to be safe. So click on snapshots in the upper right corner while you have your fock host selected. Then click on the little camera symbol and give it a descriptive name. I always just write there pre-fock server installation, all prepared, something like that, just to immediately know which state it is in. Then we go back and we start up our machine again. Alright, after the server is back up again, we do one more thing before installing fock. So sudo -i again, put your password, clear it up, and now we want to adjust our IP address, because you could do it later after fock is installed, but you would have to change way more things. You have to change the IP on your Ubuntu server, and you will also have to change the IPs in your fock server, which is way more complicated than if we just do it now and have it done. So we do it by typing, I think what's on there, probably nano will be here. Alright, etc network interfaces. So this is your network interfaces file, which you have to change from DHCP to static. Like, adjust it accordingly however you want to use the server, but I give it a static IP address, so I'm on the safe side. So you change DHCP to static, then you give it an address by typing address and the address you want to give it. I give it .40, you put the net mask, in my case it's that, then you put the address of your gateway, in my case it's this one, and you also put the address of your DNS name servers, which in my case is also my router. Alright, so we have that going. Then you press Ctrl O to write the changes, confirm with enter, and hit Ctrl X to leave the editor again. Now you could just restart your network interfaces, but that failed on me sometimes, so I'll do another reboot by typing reboot now, and we'll be back in a short second. Alright, we are back up again, so we do sudo -i to log in, clear it up, make an ifconfig, check if the IP address was changed. It was. I actually had to change it again because I was with my head still on the wrong network, so I had to change it to 10.40 instead of 100.40. And then you can do a simple ping on google.com to see if everything worked well, and it should. Yes, it does. Perfect. Can clear that clutter up again, and now we will actually install fock server. So first we need to download fock server, and the easiest way to do that is with wget. So I first want to go in the opt directory to don't download it in the root home. Should be empty anyway. Clear it up again, and you can grab fock from here. So it depends when you're going to watch this video, because there will probably be a new version released very soon. So you should always make sure you install the newest version. And how to do that? The easiest way is you go over here on this address, I will leave it in the description, and you click into the fock folder, and then you see the newest versions, right? This now, as of beginning of September 2017, it's still fock 1.4.4, so you are going to opt for that one, click in it again, and this is the file you need to download. So what you're going to do is you just copy this address. I don't know if it actually works with copy and paste now, because I didn't install the VirtualBox guest editions yet. Let's try. No, it doesn't work, so we will just type it You could also just install the guest additions, but we are not going to do that now. So let's just do it manually, but you get the idea. You will have the address here. I just moved that back to my other screen so I can type it off. And what you're going to do is you type wget, and then you just simply enter the address projects FreeGhost files fock, and then the newest version, another dash, and then the name of the file fock _144 tar gz. So just have a look here again. If you see, this is the address up until here, and this is the name of the file which you basically add on the end here. So the whole address, you get the idea what I mean. The whole address will include this over here. And then you just confirm with enter, and it will download. It should download, yeah, it does, the Fock server installation files. We'll be back in a second. Alright, that's done. Just to mention it again, it's a long tutorial because I want to go through each and every step to make sure you don't make any mistakes. There are some guides out there which I found to be incomplete, and I really want to get it on point, that you don't, or that you aren't left behind without any questions. Yeah. So now we're going to need to unzip this file, which we do by typing tar-xzf and the name of the Fock server installation. It will extract it in the same folder, then you cd into the folder and cd into the bin directory. Now we clear that clutter up again. We will run an ls, and you can see there is install fock.sh, which we are going to run right now by typing / slash to the right, install fock.sh, and hit enter. Alright, so the first option we have is to choose which kind of distribution we want to install the server on, and of course it's number 2, a Debian based Linux which includes Ubuntu. This is a potential need to reinstall the Apache files and PHP files. I always confirm that with yes. At least that always worked for me. Don't be confused that there is one step failed, which is stopping web services. It doesn't matter. What type of installation would you like to do? We would like to do the normal installation. What is the IP address to be used by the Fock server? So that's going to be the same IP address than the one of our Ubuntu host. So we confirm that with enter, that's correct. We would not like to change the default network interface. And we would like to set up a router address for the DHCP server. Yeah, that's actually correct. That's my gateway, that's my router. We leave that as it is and hit enter. So what you do here is you define, or you tell Fock where to search for the DHCP server, because you can run Fock as a DHCP server itself, which I would not recommend you to do it. I run a pfsense firewall, and I will also show you what you need to set up in pfsense to get your PXE clients to boot from your Fock server instead of your pfsense. You need to add a forwarder or a next DHCP server on your pfsense firewall. It's really easy. I will show you how to do that. So we leave that as it is, as the router address. We would like to that DHCP handles DNS. Yes. We leave it as it is because this is also my DNS server. And we definitely would not like to use Fock server for DHCP service. I also don't want to install any additional language. So we're going through that again, make sure everything is correct, and if it is, hit yes, and the Fock installation will run through. We will be back in a short moment. One more thing while it's installing, just to clarify, because I just really quickly went over it. So how that works is, you are going to boot from your network with a PXE boot, yeah? So you could just simply put the fork server in a separate VLAN or network and have it act as an DHCP server itself, which will make things way easier, of course, but in the most corporate networks this is not that easy to do, so you will just run it on your regular network, and that means it's not running as a DHCP server itself, but it tells the clients, or basically the clients are taking the DHCP from your DHCP server, but you need to tell the clients that there is a PXE server on the network. So you need to set it up in your pfsense or whatever firewall or DHCP server you are using, that in my case pfsense tells the client where the PXE boot server resides. So you basically enter the IP of your fork server inside of your DHCP server, and that way your DHCP server can forward that PXE boot request to your fork server. I hope that's a little bit understandable, but that's how it works. So now we're going to be back after the installation is finished. If you get asked, it depends. Sometimes I got asked and sometimes I didn't. If the MySQL password is blank, confirm with yes. Don't worry about the security. It's still a secure installation. It just needs it for the fock database. So one more last step and we are almost done. As you can see, it tells you still need to update your database schema. So how to do that is simply open your browser again, type the address that is written there, which is 192.168.10.40 fork management. Click on install upgrade now and it automatically finishes it up. It goes very quickly. Then you can go back to your server, hit enter to finish up the installation, and we are done. You can now see here that your default username is fock and the password is password. So first things first, we are going to log into the server with fock and password, hit enter, and we are right in. So the first thing we want to do, of course, we click on user management, list all users, select our fock user and click on change password. No brainer. We take a new password and click on update. So we got that fixed and now have a secure, more or less secure password. Yours should be longer than 4 digits again. And that's it for that. So the last thing I still want to cover in this video is the pfsense bit, which shows you how to set up a DHCP forwarder to your fork server. Simply log into your pfsense firewall, navigate to services, DHCP server, and choose the correct interface where your DHCP server resides. Then scroll down all the way until you find network booting and click on display advanced. Check enable network booting and enter the next server IP address, which is the IP address of your fork server. Then you need to enter one more thing, which is the default BIOS file name, and in the case of fork it is undionly.kpxe. I will also write that into the description so you can just copy and paste it. And then you scroll down to go to save and click on apply changes, and you are basically done with that. So there you have it. It wasn't that dramatic, it wasn't that long that I expected it to be. Just make sure you follow every step carefully. You can really easily mess it up in the fork installation if you choose a wrong answer to those questions coming up there, and you will have to start over from the beginning. As I said, the next video will cover how to capture a generalized image, or how to create a generalized image of Windows 10 first of all, and then how to capture it with fork and how to deploy it on a new client that boots over your network. Let me know if you like this style of tutorial in the comments. I would really appreciate some feedback because I really want to cover each and every step, and I hope I didn't leave any steps out or leave anything out that might be unclear to you guys. So feedback on that side would be really appreciated by me to provide better content in the future for you guys to enjoy. If that saved you a ton of time, or if you're generally satisfied with my tutorials, head over to cozak.com and hit the little donate to PayPal button on the right upper corner to enable me to spend more time creating tutorials for you, which in the end will save you time. A little dollar would already help a ton. Thanks for watching guys, and see you in the next video.